Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
We are here. It's the end of the month, so it's time for another Bat Breakdown. We are now shifting gears a little bit. We've kind of to put a little bow, or not so much a bow, but a pin in the Bat family for now. I'm sure we'll revisit at some point, but we're now diverting slightly over into the Bat Rogues, as it were.
Yes.
The Hatfields to the McCoys of the Bat family. You like that one?
Yeah, I think that works.
So before we get into all that, there's been some casting news floating around about Lanterns. That Kyle Chandler is in talks to take up the role of Hal Jordan. Now, how much of this is true? We're not super duper sure. James Gunn hasn't said a whole lot about it. I don't know him all that well career wise. I didn't watch Friday Night Lights, which I know he gets a lot of acclaim for. I know he was on Grey's Anatomy for like a little bit. I know him mostly from like two of the Godzilla Kong movies, which I wasn't a fan of the ones he was in, and he was kind of part of the problem with those movies. So that's not a great indicator for me, but I'm also willing to also say, like, he wasn't the problem with those movies. He was just in them. So
yeah. No, he was also in Wolf of Wall Street. He was the Fed that was going after him, and I thought he was great in that role. He played it really well. But
again, it's one of those. It's like, I'm not saying he was necessarily bad in any of that. Like I've seen Argo, I've seen Super 8, like I've seen Wolf of Wall Street. I love First Man. First Man was one of my favorite movies of that year.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily, it wasn't like he was a standout necessarily in any of those. So, but again, we don't know how true this is, and we haven't seen, high or low of anything with this. And I'm not saying if this is true, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I don't have any real reason to necessarily be excited yet.
Yeah, I think. Well, and it's just like any of those rumors that start flying around. Like until James Gunn comes out and says, "Hey, this is who we cast," it's kind of hard to say. He didn't comment on the Josh Brolin thing. There's another list of other actors. This is the guy who's kind of been the new one. I think I said it before we started recording. Is like, I'm just really curious what they're doing with this show.
Yeah.
I know the whole idea of he's the older Lantern training John Stewart. I mean, I figured he would be like the seasoned one, not the old one. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. First of all, let's ease up there. I mean, Kyle Chandler is older than I thought. Oh, I did not realize he was 60 years old almost.
And I'm not saying that's old.
Not necessarily old, but that is older than I thought they were going for. I figured, late 40s, early 50s, maybe. Not talking about retirement.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of cracked up because there's somebody. Did you forward this to me? It was like, why is James Gunn obsessed with casting everybody besides Superman as a grandpa?
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Who else? It's like, oh, okay, guys, who else is he cast?
Yeah.
First of all, James Gunn hasn't cast anyone. Like, that's the thing people need to realize. James Gunn isn't the one casting these people. The filmmakers are the ones who are casting these people. James Gunn has said that repeatedly. Like, yes, he gets a say in it, but like, he's not the one who decides who the right fit for the properties are. The people who are making the properties do. He has said that, like, the casting of Batman will be up to the filmmaker of Batman. The reason he cast Supergirl was because he was using Supergirl in his movie. He's not going to cast Batman because he's got nothing to do with Batman.
As of yet.
But again, Batman, I think there's a reason we've heard nothing about Batman coming out of the James Gunn side of DC, because the other side of DC is currently playing in the Batman sandbox, and we're just going to let them do that for a while.
Yeah, I think I hate to do this, but we got to. Like, if Marvel proved anything, it's that you don't have to use your big guns to become successful.
Exactly.
Pre 2008, nobody knew who Tony Stark and Iron Man or Thor or Black Widow or Hawkeye. Captain America was kind of known just because it's Captain America.
But he was only known because they had made so many bad Captain America movies. And, Captain America was kind of like Marvel's Superman.
Yeah.
He's that iconic.
Yeah, he's a little more of an icon than most. Spider Man, of course, is the top, and then the
Well,
X Men. But I mean, my
Spider-Man
point
is
more is, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying Spider-Man actually goes to your point about, look about how long. Now, granted, there was contract issues with that, but look how long they were kind of forced to wait to introduce Spider-Man into the MCU, and how much it has benefited them long run, because we've now got more time to play with Spider-Man. We have more
Yeah,
things. Spider-Man can do more in the MCU if an MCU is already established. Spider-Man is a lot more fun when he can play around with the rest of Marvel.
yeah,
Like, we like friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but we also like it when he, tells Wolverine to go shove it or something. So I think, yeah, the idea of, we haven't seen a Batman outside of what little we had with Zack Snyder. We haven't had a Batman greater Justice League DC universe world to play in yet. And introducing Batman, essentially bringing the Justice League animated series to life, which is kind of what we're doing. That's tricky. And so I think I think they know that everything going on with Matt Reeves and the Penguin and the Batman and all that and Cape Crusader, there's enough Elseworlds Batman stuff going on the fringe right now. DCU doesn't need to rush.
well, and to even kind of add to that is like everybody loves Batman. You don't have to sell a Batman movie. You just have to make it and people are going to show up.
Yeah.
You have to sell me a Superman movie. You have to sell me all these other characters. So I think the Batman thing is like we'll get there.
Yeah.
Let's not rush it like they did before and screw Superman out of a sequel. Like let's take our time, bring Batman in when we're ready and not
Yes.
kind of like, hey, oh my gosh, ooh, cash cow. So I
No.
think he's going to do that. And but no, but all that to say, like it's you're casting some of these, like a Green Lantern who is past 50. Let's just say past 50
Yeah.
is obviously what he's going for. So that's where I think I told you when we were talking on the phone or we were texting. I don't know. Point
Who
is
knows?
like to me that just means you're rushing to Hal Jordan becoming a villain and or being gone soon. And I mean,
I I
it's good
also
and
think
bad.
I also think everybody needs to remember the show is called Lanterns.
Correct.
It's not called Green Lantern. It's not called Hal Jordan. It's called Lanterns. This is
Yes.
a show about the Green Lantern Corps. And we already know, we've already got a Guy Gardner coming in Superman. And we know that John Stewart's going to be in this show. Those aren't the only three Green Lanterns we're going to see. So I think everybody, the whole idea of like, we're going to get an older Hal Jordan. How long is he going to be around for? Probably not that long, but there's a lot of other Green Lanterns, guys.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
It's fine.
Who we're not, who else we're not doing is the Flash, Jay Garrick, and it's gonna be fine.
No, it has to be Hal Jordan.
I'm just saying, if James Gunn's DCU starts with Wally West, that's fine.
Yes, that is definitely fine.
Anyway, so suffice to say, like, yeah, we have no idea how true this is. If it is, who knows what it means? We don't know anything. Basically, this is a very long-winded way of telling everybody to calm the hell down.
Or be excited. No, look,
I
we
mean,
don't
be
know. Like you
excited
said,
that progress is happening on Lanterns for
yeah.
sure.
Well, and we don't, like you said, we don't know if this is true, but sometimes you see rumors. What is that? If where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah,
So sometimes it's better just to kind of talk about it, and that's
sure.
what we did. So we're good.
We're good. All right. So let's get into the main meat of why we're here today, which is to break down One Bad Day, the Riddler, which is the first one, not it's hard to pinpoint what exact, because these are all episodic. None of these are, it's not like one overarching story. So I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what the release order of these was, because there's not a ton of info about them online, but we can at least talk about what we thought and what people have said online and how we feel about this series going into it. Because I would be remiss if I didn't say my thoughts have evolved since the first time I read it, and I'm curious to hear what you think as well, Matt. And I'm gonna throw it to you first. How did you feel about Riddler One Bad Day?
I was really excited because it's Tom King and Mitch Jarrett's the guys who did Mr. Miracle,
Yep.
whichever way my thumb needs to point the right way.
Yep.
Um, and it was similar. I think the biggest problem I had with this is like you made Riddler seriously OP. Like he just seems to be intelligent beyond intelligent, knows absolutely everything about everybody. I think that kind of threw me a little bit. Um, because you just get to the point where you're like, he's unstoppable, so we have to kill him. Yeah, and I just don't know if
Yeah.
that's the route I want. Like, it's a Batman story. I mean, as much as, at some point you should probably just kill people.
Mhm.
Um, that was only my only kind of thing. Is like, I thought there were some interesting twists, like the scene where he makes the prison guards kill each other
Mhm.
because of what he knows about all of them. It was cool, but then it just kind of was like, that should have been your crescendo. The idea of
That's
him
what you
know
lead the book with, I think. You know what
well,
I mean?
in a way, but then it's like when you get to the point where he knows who all the Robins are and he knows who Batman is and he talks about watching him sleep. I'm like, okay, we're going a little too far, in my opinion, with what this guy is capable of. He's been nothing short of a buffoon for 70 years, and suddenly we just went, you know what? Let's just go over the top. It just didn't. That aspect of it I didn't like, but the journey of the story was very interesting, if that makes sense.
It does. I've reread this a couple times since I first read it, and I will say that my feelings as I've kind of like reread stuff and seen what other people have said and sort of taken a lot of different things to heart. I will say my feelings are very mixed. And we're going to get into the full breakdown here. This is just like general feelings and all that, but I I will say I liked this more than I didn't. There are some definite choices I don't agree with. I will say, admittedly, the first time I read it, didn't interpret it as Batman killing him. I interpreted it as Batman just no longer being afraid to do anything about him.
I mean, yeah.
Um, but pretty much the general consensus of the internet is that because of how it mirrors the other part of the book, that this is Batman no choice but to kill Riddler. And the reason I push back on that being what happened is because, first of all, I'm familiar enough with Tom King's writing to know I feel like Tom King has more respect for Batman than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but I also feel like that's too easy. You know what I mean? Like that's too easy. That feels too easy to me if that's the case of like, as a Batman, just kill him. Well, that's anticlimactic if nothing else. So I guess depending on how you interpret what happens at the ending, it will affect how you feel about it. Going off my initial interpretation of it as just Batman just said, wait, what am I being so afraid? Screw this guy. No, I'm just gonna go. No, we're not playing this game anymore because we're not getting it from Batman's perspective. We're getting it from Riddler's perspective. So we don't know
Yeah.
what Batman's been doing behind the scenes during all this time that Riddler's been taking over or walking free or whatever before he finally decides to bring him down. You know, who knows? We don't get to see that, and I think that's part of the benefit is because that's not this isn't Batman's story. This is Riddler's story. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, I'd have to read it again. I'm I say kill him. I mean,
Well, I mean,
at least, at the very least, he crippled the shit out of him, so he could never do anything again.
which is what I think you do. I think you put him in a body cast for you make him comatose.
You
But
cripple him.
but I do think so. Here, I want to point out some positive things. Let's really break this puppy down. So first and foremost, I want to say, how do you say the artist's last name again?
Mitch Jared's is how it always
Jared's.
said.
Jared's. His art in this book is incredible.
Oh yeah, same with.
Go ahead.
He's always good. Like
Yeah,
I've like Mr. Miracle. He did. I think they did. Was it Human Target together?
I think
They
so.
did the Doc Savage with I got the first issue of. I totally forgot until I just said it right now that there was more of them. His art's always good.
Yeah.
And anybody who can make Mr. Miracle's costume not look dorky is a great artist. So yeah, the art in this is fantastic.
Yeah, there's this one I'm gonna pull up this one panel right here that I found a screen cap of online that I absolutely, this is not a great picture, a great size picture, but there you go. But this one in particular, I loved this panel, or I loved this page, this splash in the book. It looked so good.
Yeah.
What a I mean, especially luckily you can't really read the dialogue. This is all out of context. You have no idea what's going on, so it's not really a spoiler. But it's just when you remember what's happening in this scene and to have it split like that is just, I mean, really just some of his. I truly think this is some of his best art that I've seen him do in a book. It really is very good.
I mean, I agree. Like I said, I thought it was amazing.
What did you think of the origins of the Riddler in this? Because we get his one bad day. You know this, and again, so for those who don't know, like the one bad day is just a reference to a line from The Killing Joke. I read some people online who took the people who put The Killing Joke on like the pedestal, who think that like calling this one, people who hated this book, by the way, who thought that calling it One Bad Day was like disrespectful to The Killing Joke. And it's like, you are
Not
holding
paying
that,
attention.
you are holding that line incredibly too dearly, for first and foremost. And also you have grossly misinterpreted what that was about.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the one bad day origin aspect for the Riddler in this?
It was fine.
Yeah.
I spent most like the first third of this book just like, when is the story going to start? And I think that was my bad. Is like there was some interesting stuff there, but I was like, nope, I need to get to what this is about. And I
Yeah.
felt like if this is to when you say one bad day, that's a Riddler origin.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a very small part of it that is that.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, okay, well then, but again, this is where I go, like, he has been a buffoon a majority of the character's existence.
So
So for this to kind of be that weird turn, it was kind of like, okay, but I mean,
I do want to talk about Riddler's characterization in its own conversation. I definitely do. What I want to say about, and I agree with you 100% about the actual one bad day part that is his origin is, I mean, it's half the book, but half of that half is just kind of the same beats repeated over and over again. You know what I mean? Like after a while, it's like, yeah, okay, we understand his father's the headmaster, putting a lot of pressure on him, that he has a hard time with nuance. We get that, but we just kind of see him attempt and fail, attempt and fail, attempt and fail. There's never any change up really to the attempts and the fails. It's just, you know, it's that false quote that everybody attributes to Einstein. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing. He never said that. That's not that's not true. Memes aren't facts. Nike posters aren't facts. So that was the frustrating part of it, was like, yeah, this is the part of the story I want to see. And it almost felt to me like when sometimes when we had Scott Beatty on, he talked about this, and we've heard of it. When a writer is told, "Hey, we're giving you X amount of pages now," and you're like, "Oh, I've got to fill these extra pages with something." That's kind of what it felt like. Was they needed to fill the page? It felt like filler. It
Yeah.
felt like filler. The stuff that was now. What I will say is, I do think there is a case to be made for the one bad day being the day in the present, the day that the Riddler just snaps. That's the one bad day. Um, but I actually ended up finding the stuff that was in the present far more compelling than his origin. I wanted to know more about the Riddler finally snapping, because what I will
Agreed.
say is, to your point about him suddenly being smart, it's an aspect of the Riddler that has been really popularized, not just since the Batman, but in recent years, of like just how smart the Riddler is. He's so smart, but he can't get out of his own way
Yeah.
because he doesn't understand nuance. That's what makes him kind of a buffoon, is he doesn't understand everything is just linear to him.
Yeah.
And so this so the present day, psychopath version of the Riddler that we get almost feels to me, and this means nothing to you, like the version of the Riddler they were building towards in the Arkham video game series that we ultimately did not get.
Yeah.
Because like when you get into his origins in like the Arkham Origins video game, their version of the Riddler started out as basically like a GCPD like cyber crimes guy who just started hacking the city and getting dirt on everybody. And as you go through in the games and you progress through the timeline, it's like, no, this Riddler's really smart. He's just nuts.
Yeah.
And so that's this version of Riddler. That's the version I think Tom King is going for, which is a cool version of Riddler, but it just happens.
Yeah.
It just happens, and then it just stops. Like, I almost would have preferred the whole book just been him building up to just snapping,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my ramble.
Well, no, because I think too, like, in my opinion, Hush is
Mhm.
the first time we really see the Riddler truly being capable. Because I can't recall if Hush or Last Halloween are first.
Oh, Long Halloween's first.
Is
Hush
it?
is later.
Is it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Let's see. When did
I would
Batman
almost
Hush?
guarantee that. Yeah.
I think you may be right.
Because Long Halloween's 80.
2002.
Yeah, Long Halloween's 85. It's pre Batman Returns.
No.
Yes.
Batman the Long Halloween?
Yes.
Oh no, that was wrong. Hold on. No, it's late
Oh,
90s.
96.
I was just say it's late 90s.
Why did I think it was in the 80s? I don't
I
know.
have no
Anyway,
idea.
not important. Regardless, it's,
Okay.
it's still plenty of time removed from.
So the Long Halloween is the first time we get him being a little more capable, and Hush is when he's
Yeah.
really knowing what's going on beyond the I'm making riddles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And by the way, we're talking about Hush, the graphic novel, not
The
not
DVD.
not whatever the hell that woof. Anyway. So yeah, so this almost feels like an evolution of that Riddler.
Correct.
Of the competent, just in his own way, like intelligent, but this is not incompetent, bumbling, obsessed with. This is not Jim Carrey Riddler.
No.
This is Battinson Riddler, or
Yeah.
something along those lines. This is even closer to like the Gotham version of Riddler, which is one of the few things that show did well. I will point out, was their take on Riddler. This is almost like that version of Riddler.
Yeah.
But
I,
look,
mm,
well, let's get into his characterization, because we started on, the idea of him being the bumbling idiot versus who's obsessed with puzzles versus the guy who's just so obsessed with outsmarting people. In this, we see that his origin just comes from a little bit of both. Tom King found a way to really weave it in. Like, it's both his obsession with being right and also like the actual working of the nature of being right, not being able to solve actual goofy riddles, like just silly fun riddles that you would put on a popsicle stick kind of thing, like, is an interesting way of kind of having your cake and eating it too.
Yeah. No, it's the Batman definitely gave him another glow up, and this to me kind of springboards off of that.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you confused? What happened?
No, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, you've made me suddenly think about. Wait, when did this come out in compared to the Batman? Oh, this
I
came
thought,
out. Oh, these came out October 2022 through May of 2023. So,
yeah, they're after.
but you got to wonder how long they were in production on these prior to, if they came out in October of 22. They had to have been working on them prior to the Batman coming out, because the Batman came out in March of that year.
I mean, or it was inspired by that. I mean,
Who knows?
it doesn't take 6 months to make a single issue of a comic book.
Well, no, but they did this as a whole big series, so I don't, and we haven't read the rest of the series yet, so maybe there
Yeah.
is an overlying thing we don't know yet. I'm assuming not, because that'd be that's a lot.
It's a lot of days.
Otherwise, that's a shitty week, is what that is. That's a bad fortnight.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else did you feel? How else did you feel about like in the parts that were like Riddler's origin with young Ed?
Yeah.
How were you feeling about about what we did actually get to explore?
I mean, it was fine. I mean, it's you you can kind of see this is where Tom King's writing. I think he gets because correct if I'm wrong. He's the guy who was like a some kind of analyst for the FBI or
I
something like that.
want to say yes. I think he
Yeah,
was the super smart
some kind
one.
of.
Yeah.
The point is I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah. He interned, as I'm reading off his Wikipedia, interned at both DC and Marvel, where he was an assistant to X-Men writer Chris Claremont before joining the CIA counterterrorism unit after 9/11.
yeah. So I think sometimes with his writing, I think he gets a too into wanting that to be intelligent.
Mhm.
To show how this person is intelligent.
Yeah.
There were
He-
some interesting parts, but it just dragged. It dragged for me.
I feel like
I
you and I have said this about him before. He really wants to be like Alan Moore, or he really wants to be um oh God, Frank Miller. Like, he really wants to be one of those, or Neil Gaiman. He wants to be one of those, you know,
yeah.
I make comics that make you feel like you're not smart enough to be reading them kind of guys, you know.
And sometimes, like I said, I love Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle, he nails it. It was one of the first books we reviewed on this show. He nails it with Mr. Miracle.
Yeah. Did I like the Final Crisis? What was that one called where he was analyzing all the different people?
Oh
It ends up being
Lord,
Wally West. Anyway,
yeah, I know what
there's
you're talking about.
some of the stuff like his Batman run, there were parts of it that were really cool, but City of Bane was 12 issues too long.
Mhm.
So I felt that in this one. As good as the art was, as cool as it was when things started happening, I definitely had the like, did it have to be 48 pages? like, like
Mhm.
did they give you a mandate of how long this had to be, or did you feel like you needed to stretch it out this much? Um, so I thought there were some cool things there, but it just yeah, for me, this entire book had some spectacular moments, but it just dragged. I don't know that I'll ever revisit it.
Yeah, it's like I, if anything, it's had me, because Tom King, but Tom King only wrote on this one. He did not write on, well, different writers and all that for each
Correct.
one. I will say this: I am immensely far more interested in reading the rest of these, though, because I am at least like, okay, this wasn't perfect, but if we're at least gonna let some different writers and artists just take a Batman baddie and throw some shit at the wall and see what sticks. You know what? I'm here for a little bit of random because it's nice. It's nice to be caught off guard a little bit once in a while. Even though I
Yeah.
didn't love all the choices Tom King made in this,
Yeah.
he took some swings.
Yeah.
You know, did I agree with them? Not all the time, but I appreciate that at least he tried something. And so if we've got, 7 or 9, however many more books of these with different villains, villains that we love, Mr. Freeze, Clayface, we're gonna do the Penguin. Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah. Don't worry, we'll do it when the show's over. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
And then hate it because it's nowhere near as good as the show.
Because it's nowhere near as good as the show. God, that show's so good. But I will say I am interested in reading more of these though. Like this at least is like, okay, if this is the kind of thing that DC kind of gave some of their writers carte blanche to do, which is, hey guys, go have some fun with the villain or go have some fun with the villains.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. We'll have to see. Catwoman's a character I like a lot. So I'm interested in reading hers. I know you like Mr. Freeze. He's one of those characters that outside of the cartoons, I honestly don't know if I've read a comic with him in it. I don't count Long Halloween because he's, every villain of Batman's is that.
Well, but also that's Mr. Freeze, when they were fresh off of his redesign from BTAS.
Yeah.
I will say if you can get your hands on any of them, some of the companion comics from Batman the Animated Series, the ones with Mr. Freeze are really good. Because that's the show that kind of gave us the version of Mr. Freeze that we love. So I'm interested to read that one. I am a sucker for Clayface, so obviously I can't wait to read that one. They have one for Bane, so the full list is Riddler, Two-Face, Penguin, Mr. Freeze, Bane, Catwoman, Clayface, and Ra's al Ghul. So we've got, the heaviest of the heavy hitters from Batman's rogues. I think of all of them, Clayface is the odd one out.
He's got an interesting. I mean, if they do anything near as cool as what they did in
Cape Crusader,
there we go.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, Clayface is one of those villains that I feel like you can either be really stupid or really cool, but you gotta handle him just right. Cape Crusader did a great job. I mean, obviously Bruce Timm did a great job with it in the original animated series. So looking forward to that when we get to it. That I think that's really kind of the big stuff. Like each of these is only really one issue. Like they're not huge graphic novels. So these are not as long of breakdowns as we would normally do, like with a Long Halloween. But I will say, like, I think there's enough here that if you're even a little bit curious, I'd say at least give it a shot.
Yeah. No, if you liked Riddler in the Batman movie, this is that guy. Yeah. It's not as social media.
It's not as Zodiac killery.
Yeah, not as Zodiac killer. But if you want to see that like over the top, ahead of the game, Riddler, this is a really good read for that version.
I absolutely agree. And if you guys have read this one, and please let us know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know down in the comments. Everyone else, please let us know on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at WATV Pod, and on Threads. We don't post on Threads very often because Threads is kind of dumb, but we're on there.
And everybody jumped to Threads, and then we're like, I don't want to be on Twitter, and everybody jumped to Threads, and then nobody's committed. Everybody's still doing both.
I literally was going to a social media. I'm leaving all this in. I was going to a social media conference for work the day after Threads launched, and nobody knew it was coming. And all the people at that conference were just getting berated with Threads questions, and they were like, "Guys, we don't know anything more about it than you do. Nobody knew this was coming." So we're on Threads.
It's Twitter for Instagram. Calm down.
Yeah, it's that. So let us know what you guys think. We always want to hear. You can always also let us know one-on-one. Find me on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me on Twitter, not Threads, at Mr. J Ninja, even though maybe I am Mr. J Ninja on Threads.
Do you have an Instagram?
Yes, I'm on Threads. I know I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
anyway. We're on social media, guys. We're good at
Come
things.
talk to us.
Come talk to us. Seriously. Don't forget that starting Monday, October. So don't forget that starting this coming Monday, we will start our Penguin reviews on YouTube only. So check those out over there. We'll do a finale review when we get to the end. If you guys haven't checked out our episode 1 review, it's up now. If you haven't watched the show yet, the fuck are you doing here? Oh my god. And if you haven't already, because I didn't do this at the beginning, hey, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. We're putting up the signal telling you guys to subscribe. Please do. And with that being said, that is gonna do it for this episode of We Are the Batman. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bad time, same bad podcast show.
Bye-bye.